Uh-oh.
Okay, we'll start with this. Another look at Teofimo's recent comments via his social media asking, "Hey, Top Rank Boxing, what's my buyout?" Just a question. Also, I'd respect if you replied here and not around the corner. Thank you and have a blessed Sunday. First one of the year. Now, this is obviously not a question or a conversation that Top Rank would have publicly. What is the asking price to buy out Teofimo's contract? If he's serious, that's a conversation they have behind closed doors. So if he's doing this publicly, it's just for the optics. And who would buy out Teofimo's contract? So many people heard the story of Floyd Mayweather's departure from Top Rank and applied that to themselves and their own careers, not realizing you're not Floyd. You don't have Floyd's work ethic, and frankly, you're not as talented, not as gifted as he was. Who are you expecting to swoop in with a big fat wallet to buy out your contract? Who's supposed to do that? Free agency's not all it's cracked up to be, you know. If you have the kind of marquee value of a Canelo Alvarez, then it can be very lucrative. But if you're Teofimo, and you never really graduated from the Hulu Theater to playing the big room at Madison Square Garden, when you're not the kind of fighter that sells 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 tickets, what are you in such a hurry to be a free agent for? To do what? You don't even get along with anybody. And when you've never been on pay-per-view, why would you be in such a hurry to be a free agent? To do what? Negotiate with who? Free agency most benefits fighters with the kind of marquee value that they can go into business for themselves, but that's not Teofimo. That's not most fighters.
It's not Devon. Look at him.
He's still doing the free agent thing, and his next fight may end up on Black Prime. May end up opposite the ring either Blair Cobbs, rumor has it he might end up opposite the ring Tevin Farmer, and these are not the kind of fighters, these are not the kind of fights that you bill as box office fights. That's what free agency is getting him.
It's not the kind of fight you bill as a pay-per-view.
So what these young fighters and their managers want is all of the perks of a major promotional outfit without the commitments. That's what it seems like. Because you seem to think a promotional outfit's supposed to fork over all this cash, pour it into your pocket, and for what? No commitment from you. How often have you seen Teofimo Lopez trashing Top Rank the last 4 or 5 years? How many shots has he taken at Matchroom?
You want to become a free agent for what?
The kind of money you want to make, you don't generate it yourself, so free agency for you won't be what it has been for Canelo. This free agency, in and of itself, most benefits a fighter like Canelo, and there are not a lot of fighters in the position of a Canelo. You're not one of them.
If by some chance Top Rank, out of the kindness of their heart or the frustration, release Teofimo Lopez tomorrow from his contract, where is he gonna go?
The only value of free agency in a situation like that is if you can negotiate a better deal with another promoter. But who are we talking about? Matchroom, who he doesn't like?
Because he doesn't like them. The PBC ain't got no money and they ain't got no fight dates, so that's not a step up.
Golden Boy Promotions and Oscar De La Hoya have a nasty reputation for stealing from their fighters. That's according to Juan Manuel Marquez. That's according to Shane Mosley. That's according to Canelo when he was with them.
You see Ryan's trying to get away from them.
But when you talk about free agency, for a fighter like Teofimo, that's not exactly a good idea. You yourself don't generate but so much, and the other promotional outfits that are out there aren't going to offer you but so much. Not unless you make a commitment.
He thinks he's just gonna get out there and fall face first into money. That's what he's thinking.
As stated, he's better off just staying put, staying where he is at Top Rank, where you're gonna get a nice size guarantee, not the biggest.
You ain't the biggest draw anyway. What do you expect?
All the perks with none of the commitment, that's what it seems like. Over to Ryan Garcia, who seems to have encountered a stumbling block as his 2025 comeback nears. Ryan Garcia's controversial return to boxing could be put on ice, with the social media star revealing that he will be forced to undergo surgery. The 26-year-old was supposed to square off against Japanese kickboxer Rikuya Enpo on December 30th, headlining an exhibition bout on pay-per-view in Tokyo. However, the American withdrew from their contest shortly after, sustaining an injury to his wrist, with his opponent instead facing fellow former K1 champion Sina Karaminian. But regardless of its cancellation, Garcia's matchup with Enpo, which could still take place before his year-long ban expires on April 20th, has certainly raised a few eyebrows. It would appear that Garcia's time away from boxing could get extended, with the Californian announcing that he is set to undergo surgery on his wrist. After talking to doctors, I'm going to need surgery, Garcia said during the broadcast for Enpo's exhibition. I'm still excited to fight in Japan soon, and this will all resume right after I heal up in 2025. So make no mistake, I am coming back to finish what we started with Enpo, and he will eat his words. I guarantee it.
Well, that's really two stumbling blocks when you think about it.
Before this news broke about Ryan Garcia injuring his wrist, Oscar De La Hoya said they never got his blessing. Golden Boy Promotions never signed off on the Rikuya Enpo fight, and until they did, no fight.
No exhibition. It don't go down.
Next thing you know, the whole thing gets called off because Ryan is reportedly injured. I'm left to wonder, is he actually injured, or is that just the cover story? Ryan says they're going to revisit the Enpo fight. Enpo is perhaps best known in the boxing world for his exhibition with 8th Division champion Manny Pacquiao, dominating the faded legend last year in Japan. Garcia, meanwhile, seemingly remains focused on silencing the outspoken kickboxer ahead of his return to professional boxing. The Enpo fight, if they can make it, would serve as a tune-up fight of sorts for Ryan. Just a way to get the cobwebs off.
The ring rust.
Before he takes on more serious quarry, a more serious, experienced boxer, presumably Devon Haney. There's a lot of money in a rematch.
Ryan's not the one that needs it, though.
Not saying that he does, but if nothing else, there is a financial incentive that a second fight with Devon would be bigger, much bigger than the first one was, because of the controversy. So if for no other reason, you can do it for that. You can do it for the money.
There's a lot of money in it.
Said it in my previous video, that is a fight that while it wouldn't be a title fight, and not necessarily a legacy fight, no, not necessarily, it would grab the American boxing community's attention. These two dysfunctional youngsters.
Their dysfunction is a reflection of the American populace.
Thus, the Americans would gravitate towards them, and this rematch that I think commercially would do very well. The Americans are less concerned with the more serious professionals like Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol, Alexander Usyk.
The real fighters.
They care more about these guys, the JV kids. This would spark their curiosity, their interest, if you can make it. Being honest, this would be one of the biggest fights you could do on American soil. I don't think it's as big anywhere else. I don't really think the Brits care about it, or the Japanese, the Mexicans, but here in America, Haney versus Garcia 2 is a major fight.
So Ryan may end up rescheduling the Enpo fight. We know that Devon Haney's supposed to fight somebody on Black Prime. Don't know who yet.
On that kind of schedule, you could do the rematch between them in either mid to late summer or later on in the year. There's plenty of time.
There's too much money on the table not to.
In men's light heavyweight news, David Benavidez is warned about fighting Artur Beterbiev. You can't put him in there with monsters.
Well, isn't he supposed to be a monster?
David Benavidez has been warned against the fight with Artur Beterbiev. Beterbiev is currently undisputed light heavyweight champion. Beterbiev defeated Dmitry Bivol to win all the belts, making him the best light heavyweight in the world. He did it at 39, making the feat all the more remarkable. He will rematch Bivol February 22nd, which will be for undisputed again. Beterbiev will be 40, raising the question marks over how long he has left in the sport. Benavidez will face David Morrell next on February 1st. If he beats Morrell, he becomes mandatory for the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol. Benavidez may fancy his chances knowing Beterbiev is aging, but the Russian came back from a knee injury and still beat Bivol, showing how tough a fighter he is. Sergio Mora warned Benavidez against taking that fight, stating it would be a huge risk. You can't put him in with monsters, and you can't put him in with guys that are gonna give him issues with power like Beterbiev, or footwork and experience like Bivol. You have to calculate. If Benavidez wants to fight the best at 175, he has to fight guys that are coming up in weight, like Canelo.
Why are you babying him, Sergio?
He's a two-time super middleweight champion. He's been a champion at that weight 2 times, and he's coming up on his 30th professional boxing match of what has been an 11-year boxing career. That's over a decade, and you're talking about him like he's a baby.
You can't put him in there with monsters, and you can't put him in there with guys that are gonna give him issues. Why not?
Both times Canelo Alvarez ventured north of 168 to 175, it was to face champions, reigning champions. The first was Sergey Kovalev, the second was Dmitry Bivol, so that you can tell a bigger, younger guy to take it easy?
David Benavidez is literally bigger and younger than Canelo.
Why are you telling him to take it easy? It's really a rhetorical question. We all know why. It's because underneath it all, you know, David isn't everything he's made out to be. At 39 years old, you're saying that Artur Beterbiev is too risky for David.
So what do you want he should do? Wait till Artur is 41, 42, 43? Is that old enough?
If Benavidez wants the biggest fights, this is a risk he may have to take. He failed to get the Canelo Alvarez fight at 168. This was despite being the WBC interim super middleweight champion for 2 years. The WBC failed to strip Canelo, while Alvarez demanded 150 to 200 million to make the fight. The whole reason for Benavidez moving up was to target undisputed at 175. If he were to beat the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol, he would put himself in a stronger position to get the Canelo fight. Alvarez would then have the chance of becoming undisputed at 175. That is a major selling point for Canelo. Alvarez has no other big bouts at 168. There is the Terence Crawford fight. However, a win does nothing for his legacy since Crawford would be coming up 2 weight classes. Canelo has it all to lose.
I still can't get over how protective Sergio Mora is being of what's supposed to be the Mexican monster.
He's already had 1 fight at 175. This is going to be a second in February.
How much more time does he need?
If the whole narrative is that you didn't get to fight for undisputed at 168, you have the chance to do that now at 175.
And it's not for peanuts on the dollar either. It's literally for the best money in boxing right now. So, why shouldn't he do it?
In my previous video, we talked about David Benavidez's recent comments about a Zurdo Ramirez fight, a potential move up to cruiserweight.
It was revealing.
Reading through David Benavidez's quotes about how he wants to be based out of Vegas. He doesn't want to ignore the American audience.
How altruistic of him.
But I thought you wanted to fight for undisputed. I thought that's what this was all about. That you never got the chance to fight for undisputed at 168. The chance pops up at 175, and you start talking about moving up to cruiser.
David's fans and David's supporters all want to keep the focus on Canelo.
Whenever David is brought up and what should happen in the not-so-distant future, all they want to talk about and keep talking about is Canelo when that ship has sailed.
It's done.
It's not happening, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not. They're not fighting. If David's at 175 now, and he's just 1 fight away from fighting for undisputed, how are we still talking about Canelo? It's almost like you want to keep talking about Canelo so you don't have to talk about Artur, so you don't have to talk about Dmitry.
Case in point, Eliza Alvarado said, Benavidez just wants to be a champion. Canelo throws him out, and he might have to wait another whole year.
Says who?
To fight the winner out of Beterbiev versus Artur. If Bivol wins, there's gonna be a 3rd fight.
Maybe, but nobody said that. Artur didn't say that. Dmitry didn't say that. Turkey, who's paying for the show, he didn't say that.
And if Artur wins, Canelo is gonna try to move up It's not rocket science.
Move up to fight who? Move up to fight Artur Beterbiev?
What?
I don't think so. And I'm a fan of Canelo, but Canelo's not about to fight that guy, so what the hell are you talking about?
Talking about making excuses for David and his sophisticated duck. Don't you see that as the David Morrell fight approaches, he's already talking about leaving this division?
I thought what you wanted was undisputed. There's your chance. You beat David Morrell, you're the mandatory via the WBC, the mandatory via the WBA. Turkey LL Sheik went as far as saying that he would fast-track David Benavidez to that fight.
To the winner.
But you see what David Benavidez's fans are doing? They want to keep the focus on Canelo and keep talking about Canelo so they don't have to talk about Artur, so they don't have to talk about Dimitri. Dimitri, who beat Canelo, and Artur, who beat Dimitri.
Ain't that a bitch?
Over to the Ramirez fight, and why David prefers it. Well, he views Zurdo as being more beatable because he's been beaten already. Zurdo got beat by Dimitri, and Dimitri just got beat by Artur. David doesn't want the guy at the top of the totem pole.
Though who says he beat Zurdo?
Zurdo is 3 going on 4 fights in 2 his cruiserweight campaign. Needless to say, he's acclimated. He's fought 2 champions there.
David's entire shtick is being the bigger guy, except Zurdo's already fought bigger guys than you.
They couldn't bully him, so what makes you think you can? Especially now that he's added to his repertoire, and he's more than just an inside fighter now. He's a mover, he's a jabber, he's a boxer. He's got a lot more in his toolbox.
The skills you ain't got.
You only want to fight that guy because he's been beat before, but not by somebody like you. What do you think? You're gonna march up to him shoulders square, doing those little shoe shines you do like you did on David Lemieux? This is not David Lemieux. This is not an undersized fighter. Zurdo Ramirez is a big boy.
You ain't got size on him. You don't have experience either. He is more battle-tested at more weights than David Benavidez.
Fact!
That's just a fact.
Fact!
Against more champions.
That's just the fact. Team Benavidez may be looking at Zurdo and his 2 belts as being low-hanging fruit, but is he?
He's got that fight with Uniel Dorticos coming up. Uniel is his mandatory challenger via the WBA. And if he can stay champion, if he can win, I can see the Benavidez fight happening.
Said as much in my previous video. We know that David Benavidez is receptive to that fight. I think Golden Boy would be as well. And Zurdo. I think they would do it. They would like to. And I think Zurdo has seen more fighters like David Benavidez than David has seen fighters like Zurdo.
Flat-footed guys looking to march forward and throw bombs? That's Arsene Goulamarian. That's Chris Billum Smith.
Zurdo Ramirez has already seen more fighters like David than David has seen fighters like Zurdo. A guy who can handle himself on the inside and box from the outside, durable.
Never been knocked down, never been knocked out. Hell, David's been down more times than Zurdo.
What may have been a 50-50 fight years ago at 168, years later at cruiser, you would have to give Zurdo the edge.
He's acclimated to the weight. He's champion there, not just champion, unified.
While David Benavidez is the guy who couldn't knock out Caleb Plant, couldn't knock out Oleksandr Vojdik, and it's not like they haven't been knocked out before. They have. He just couldn't do it.
He's not the wrecking machine he's made out to be, and I don't think he would be at cruiser.
So where he might look at Zurdo as a low-hanging fruit,
could be a miscalculation.
he may be underestimating Zurdo, and that is who I expect David to fight. I don't think he's going to fight Dimitri. I don't think he's going to fight Artur. I think later on this year, he's going to move up, and he's going to fight Zurdo.